I'm not at loggerheads with the Pub Protector about deductions. I only just responded yesterday to an article by the Citizen to correct what I considered to be incorrect information. And it wasn't just about the car. It was about how we have handled the handover process from the day I exited on the 14th. Regarding the car, there are two issues. There are three issues regarding my gratuity. Firstly, I have indicated to the Pub Protector that the amount given does not make sense. It's about the same amount that was given to Advocate Mshwana using the same formula. As you know, he was paid out 7 years earlier, and just in terms of normal mathematics, I should get more. And I was then promised papers regarding his payout so that we could establish the cause for the anomaly. Those papers were not forwarded. Instead, it received, no, this is the accurate process. And it can't be accurate. You can't arrive at the same total using two different capital sums. The second issue is the fact that the Pub Protector or Advocate Mkhwebane ordered the office to deduct money from my gratuity without due process. I was informed shortly after she arrived. Somebody kindly called me and said that she had just advised either ANN7 or the New Age, I can't recall properly, that she was going to deduct the money from my allowance. And the person wanted to know if she had informed me that she was going to deduct the said amount from my gratuity. I indicated that she hadn't, because due process requires that you talk to people. Just forget about the law. Just common decency. I've just arrived. On my first day at work, I had a perception that you owe us. And what's your view on this? Unfortunately, I haven't heard that courtesy to be informed what's happening. So that's the first thing about the amount. When I was advised, as we were now discussing the date for payment of the gratuity, that certain amounts were going to be deducted from my gratuity, I sent a long letter questioning those amounts, questioning process, questioning legality. I have not been favored with the legal response to the issues I raised. Instead, when the amount was paid, the deductions were made unilaterally. The issue is just both the legality of the deduction and the process used. That it's pretty strange for me. And the third issue is the issue of using the VIP car after I left office. I listened for 20 minutes to what was said in Power FM yesterday, and there's a difference between the truth and what people today call alternative narratives. The truth I know is VIP protection itself determines what happens to a VIP. And in my case, they sent a letter to the office indicating that the cooling off period was going to be until the 30th of November. And that letter also indicated what the services that go with that cooling off period were, and that included a car. I didn't use the car personally. The car was given to my protectors, and anyone who wanted to take it any day, they could have taken it because the control is with the protectors. When this issue was raised with me by the CEO, and it's again incorrect that was raised before I left office or shortly after I left office. It was raised as we were already discussing gratuity, and it was said that I took that car wrongfully. I just explained I took no car. The car was always with the protectors, and when VIP protection came on the 14th with the letter and the message, it was explained what was going to happen. And I then simply asked, if you have any questions, please raise them with SAP's VIP protection unit. Again, what I would have expected was, instead of an accusatory letter to me, just ask SAP. This person is still on VIP protection. Why is she still on VIP protection? SAP would have explained it's normal practice. There is a cooling off period. Instead, I was being accused. It was almost like I just put myself on extra VIP protection. Again, I asked that this thing be handled properly institutionally. And the last thing I raised was just the handover. It's normal practice that you have to talk beyond having written reports. I scheduled a meeting to meet with the new pub protector on the 14th. On that day, I left to freshen up in the morning. Therefore, I was late. I arranged that she be met by my deputy and the CEO so that she doesn't sit there and wait for me. They met her. I was an hour late. When I arrived, I sat in my office and indicated I was there. I was told the pub protector was still, or the public protector to be, because she wasn't pub protector on that day, is still with staff. Later, the sub-VIP people came. After meeting with me, they went and met with her. So it's not true that I'm the one who caused the meeting to only end up being about an hour. But even then, it's an issue of calculating. It's about what was the size of the crowd at somebody's inauguration. I don't want to talk about the time. It's just the concept.
All right, Advocate.
We were late because she spoke.
I'm sorry, Advocate, I'll have to interrupt you in the interest of time and ask you, can you confirm the amounts deducted from your gratuity then, and will you be taking legal action over this? 470,000. I haven't decided how to proceed because, honestly, I just want to move forward with my life. And I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and it's not my style or interest to be entangled in a legal battle with the pub protector. I've written to them about what I think should be done and should have been done. Advocate, you previously spoke very cordially about your successor, Busisiwe Mkhwebane. You've been very diplomatic in your language towards her, but the picture you're painting now, issues around the handover process to monies now that are subsequently being deducted from your pension. What is your perception of Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane?
Well, firstly, it's wrong to speak badly about your successor or your predecessor. It's just uncollegial. That's why I have kept quiet. Even when I was attacked in Parliament and other forums, I just thought the ugliness was unnecessary. I honestly think there is a problem here. I listened to the Power FM interview. At least Advocate Mkhwebane confirms that we haven't met. But what she's not telling the truth about is that we did agree to meet. In that interview, she now says, I asked to meet with her on Monday, but she was going to meet with staff. We agreed to meet. You yourselves have a clip from her after our meeting talking about we had a great meeting, we've agreed to a second meeting. So that's not a disputed matter. But yesterday she was now saying it was my view that we'd meet again on Monday. I think we agreed to meet on Monday. She cancelled that meeting on Monday. It wasn't a speculative meeting. It was an agreed meeting. There was a time for it. It was at 2. Thereafter, she said she was postponing it at the time. Thereafter, from my side, I have only communicated with her in writing, requesting that meeting, and she indicated that she doesn't think that that meeting is necessary or urgent. And yesterday she said, well, it's not a train smash. I don't understand. There seems to be a problem that is not being explained to me. I've been in ministries for quite some time, and I've participated in handovers. They're not a one-day exercise. The 14th was the start. There was bound to be matters that are spillover matters to be discussed. And she said something very strange that day, which on reflection, I'm just wondering what it meant. She said to me, "You're a Christian, aren't you? You know the story about Joshua and Moses. I'm Joshua. You are Moses. It's time for you to step back and let me take over." And that was on the 14th, after we'd agreed that we'll meet on the 17th. Now, I have no intention of being public protector again. I had a fabulous 7 years. I've always been a defender of human rights and democracy, and I'm proceeding in my foundation now to empower communities to defend and deepen democracy and the rule of law. I'm happy to do that. So I'm not competing in space with my predecessor. Being a public protector is the longest job I ever did in my life, and people would know that when I've left a job, I leave it. It would have been nice, and it still would be nice to just have the proper handover, ask questions, and deal with some of these sticky issues that are now being urged in public when we could sit around the table and deal with them.
Advocate, why do you believe that the new public protector is behaving in the manner in which she is behaving? Do you believe that she is driven by certain agendas?
I don't know, but certainly with the manner in which the car issue has been handled, I had a perception that there are agendas involved, purely because the first time I got to hear about it was a call from the Public Protector Office, from a staff member who was concerned that the new Public Protector had just told I think New Age or eNCA that she's going to deduct this money. And it was strange that this person has not even given herself an opportunity to find out is the money owed, if so, how. The Mail and Guardian case specifically told us as public protectors or as investigators, we have to keep an open mind. And she hasn't kept an open mind. Why? I do get the feeling that I'm being punished for the fact that President Zuma got to pay for a benefit he received. I didn't receive a benefit. Why I'm linking this is because some of the trolls that follow me on Twitter are linked to the New Age, and every time the New Age does something, and eNCA does something, and they've been pursuing this matter since the state capture investigation, it was pay back the money, and I can't be paying back money that I never took. But pay back the money comes from the fact that President Zuma was made to pay back money he benefited from.
Advocate, you mentioned the president, and it is suggested in the article that you quoted earlier that you said that you believe President Jacob Zuma is behind all of this. Were those in fact your words, that President Jacob Zuma is behind what is now happening to you?
No, Polly, the article doesn't say that. It simply says I'm being made to pay back for Zuma. That doesn't say he's behind. It's saying whatever forces are behind dealing with this matter in the clumsy way it has been dealt with, see this as me paying back for what I supposedly did to President Zuma. But the difference here is that he did get the benefit, and the difference is there are things he did that he shouldn't have done, and there are things he failed to do that he should have done. So our circumstances are not the same.
Do you believe, therefore, that this is an act of vengeance against you for the adverse findings that you found against the president on matters such as Nkandla? And of course, you will know that the state of capture report is also is up on review by the president. Do you believe that all of this is an act of vengeance against you for what you did to the president?
I do, Connie. It's also compounded by a report that was given to us the day the current public protector was announced as my potential successor. That just randomly, one of the staff members said that another staff member had told her that the present public protector had said to her she had been directly nominated by President Zuma. So there's nothing wrong with being supported by President Zuma. I was supported by him too, but I wasn't nominated by him. Was the present public protector nominated by President Zuma? I don't know. Who nominated her? A Sunday newspaper said she was nominated by a staffer in the presidency. I would be interested in the history of nomination of figures for public office. How many of them have been nominated by staff members in the presidency? It's a strange coincidence. I just find it difficult that there seems to be tension between me and the new public protector, but I don't know where it comes from. When I looked at her Twitter account, she had been following me since 2014, and she used to retweet some of the things I said. She used to like them, some of them. So her behavior right now, being unable to have a meeting with me around the table, is confusing to me, because you find information wherever you have to find it. It has nothing to do with whether you like people or not. She also wrote to Parliament saying I shouldn't be involved in the SABC interview. As investigators, we know that you have to find information from anyone who knows something. It's not about rank, it's not about position. When she told Parliament that I shouldn't be interviewed, I found it strange, because Parliament was seeking answers from anybody who's supposed to know. It had nothing to do with who holds what position.
Advocate, some of the language that is attributed to you as having been used by yourself, it sounds very emotional, and perhaps one might say it is unlike you. You are seen as someone who is very diplomatic. What prompted this display of emotion from your side?
I'm sorry if it came across as emotional. From my side, I just thought at this stage the truth should come out. But incidentally, though, it was really not intended for publication. I was just explaining the context. And the original idea was to get the newspaper to ask questions from the other side and request documents, because my interaction with the public protector office has been only through documents. The only one-to-one conversation I had with her was on the 14th. And therefore there shouldn't be confusion about what is the truth when all communication has been through correspondence.
Advocate, do you believe that you should be liable for the damages to the car and, of course, what is now said to have been you using that vehicle after your term had ended? Because Advocate Mngambi is suggesting that this is all in the interest of good governance.
No, I disagree, and I think it is not in the interest of good governance. Good governance includes just administrative action. If you think anybody has done something wrong, you are required in terms of Section 33 of the Constitution to tell them they've done something wrong and the consequences of their wrongdoing, and give them an opportunity to present their side of the story and then make a determination. So this matter, if there was no emotion attached to it, it could have been referred back to the Auditor General and say to the Auditor General, make a determination.
All right.
As we sit right now, no process has made a determination. She arbitrarily decided that this is going to happen. Certainly, my son is responsible for the car, and that is why I had initially offered to pay ex gratia, and I did pay. At the time when we thought insurance would pay and the excess would be about 60,000, I paid half of that. I had been in discussion with staff that as I exit the public sector, I would have to consider making some payment on behalf of my son. And this would be something considered properly about what really is the cost of fixing this car, who authorized these things, etc. So there's been no such conversation. But me personally, I'm absolutely certain that I'm liable for nothing. And the way this matter has been pursued so ruthlessly and so resolutely does give rise to my suspicion that there are extra forces involved in it.
What forces would those be, Advocate? I'd like for you to, I think, take the public into your conscience about this. What forces do you believe are involved in this? I don't want to mention names, but perhaps you must give us those names.
I have indicated that I am being made to pay back for what I did to President Zuma, what those forces think I did to President Zuma, which I did nothing really other than to do my job together with the Public Protector team the best we knew how. Who are those forces? I really don't know. I think actually it might just help to have an inquiry that looks at that whole process. You know, what's going on here? I must say I find it bizarre that the Public Protector and I have not met, and she doesn't see a problem in that. I wrote to her requesting these meetings, eventually then sent the report because I thought it was important that she should move forward. I offered to meet with her again for clarity. I later requested a specific meeting with her after Janine Hicks was ruthlessly removed from the office. I also think, Xoli, let's admit it, it's bizarre that the Public Protector on her first day of office cleaned out my office and removed everyone. And then went public to say I did the same. I never did the same. I removed nobody. Only 2 people from my office that were transferred by Advocate Mushwana. But on my first few weeks in the office, I worked with them. Now Mrs. Mokhaladi has been promoted to an executive manager. Sinatra was an excellent performer and he was recruited by the Treasury. Busisi Wejale stayed. She was a food coordinator for Mr. Mushwana. She continued to coordinate food for me and eventually was promoted to my second PA. Linda, who had been transferred by Advocate Mushwana, continued to work closely with my office. If you look at just that transition between me and Advocate Mushwana and the ruthlessness with which the people who work with me have been treated, let's be honest, good human beings, there is something wrong here. Juliet, my PA, I was told was removed from office and not given an extra office. For days, she had the indignity of leaving home and coming to the office without having an office to go to until a fellow staff member felt sorry for her and took the office of another staff member who was on maternity leave and gave it to Juliet so that she would have the dignity of waking up home and going to some office. I can't understand why those people were treated that way. I do not understand that. And all of those things, we could have discussed them over the table if the Public Protector was amenable to meeting with me. So clearly, I have nothing against her. It does seem, though, that she has an issue with me.
All right. Advocate, unfortunately, we are out of time, but I do wish, though, that you could answer this one question. It's a direct question from myself, and it is, do you believe, once again I will ask you, do you believe that President Jacob Zuma is behind this, or do you believe that the actions of Advocate Mkhwebane, the new Public Protector, are being driven through President Jacob Zuma or via President Jacob Zuma?
Xoli, I'm not going to be direct with you. I have no evidence, but I suspect that either President Zuma or people linked to him are behind what's happening at the Public Protector office. I have no evidence, but I suspect that the State Security Agency is behind some of the things that happened in my office before the Public Protector was appointed and what has happened since then.